Okay, before I talk about today's exercise, I want to remind you a few things. And number one, next week we are going to do midterms. Well, there will be a written midterm and plus a coding midterm. So for both midterms, and you will have a total of 12 hours. Well, it doesn't mean that those exams is going to take you super long. Well, I created both exams so that they can be finished in 1 hour and 40 minutes or 100 minutes. Okay, and then for the written exam, and you will have a exam paper release on 8 a.m. and then the submission locker will close on 8 p.m. And for the coding, you will have the coding questions released on 8 a.m. and then again the submission locker will close on 8 p.m. And for the number of the questions, they will be similar to the number of the questions in the midterm one. Well, like for the written part, you are gonna you are gonna receive an exam paper of roughly 10 pages. Well, but you only have to create a document and then type your answers there. You don't have to copy all the questions. And for the coding one, you will have three coding questions. Well, those coding questions will have the test cases provided too. So after write the code and then you can run the test cases, so you have a feeling on if you got the work done or not. Okay, and then another thing I want to remind you is the midterm 2 is not cumulative. Well, this exam will focus on the content we have covered between the midterm 1 and midterm 2. However, you do have to master the content before midterm 1 well enough. Say, for example, in the midterm before the midterm 1, we talk about the print statement, and you gotta know how to do that. And we talk about the if and else condition before the midterm 1. Well, am I going to use the if and else condition in the midterm 2? Of course, because that's necessary for me to test some of the content we focus on between the midterm 1 and midterm 2. So you may have to spend some time to review the content we learned before the midterm 1 as well. Okay, so that's information about the midterm one, and I will post a few simple questions for both the written midterm and the coding midterm, but they will only be a few questions, so you don't really expect a big chunk of the questions. Okay, so that's the number one thing about the midterm. And number two, I also want to talk about the flip grade. And remember, we have the topics posted on Flipgrid every week. For the last week I mess up things, and then I'm putting one topic for 2 weeks. And for this week, I'm gonna put a new topic. And remember, for the Flipgrid participation, well, that will be 5% toward your total course score. And come on, guys, that is the easiest 5% of a course score you can get. Well, you only need to see the topic and then see each other's video and then record a video by yourself. And I'm not really doing hard topics and you don't know how to answer. Well, I'm gonna ask you what you are expecting for now after at the end of the semester. Okay, so those topics are really easy. Just use your cell phone or your laptop, record your feedback, and then show that on the Flipgrid. And then you can also, if you're interested, you can also see other people's response. Well, I think that is supposed to be a fun talking part of this course. Okay, so those are two things I want to mention before talking about the exercise. And now let's take a look on this exercise. Okay, so the first question is if we have a sentence. So this sentence could be a long sentence with 50 words, or it could be a very short sentence. And the rule is, if this string is more than 45 characters long, that's a long sentence. And then I'm gonna cut it short at the index 40. I'm only keeping the 40 indexes, the 40 characters, and then I'm throwing the rest of them away, and then I add dot dot dot. Okay, and then eventually I want to return this string. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing is you have to check whether this string is longer than 45 characters. So how do you get the length? You can get the length by doing the len of sentence, right? And then we want to see if the length is greater than 45. So if it is greater than 45, what do? We want to cut it short at the index 40. So how do you cut it short? That is a slicing. Say I want to do the sentence, and then I want to start from the very beginning, and then I want to end on 40. So what is that? It is a slice of the long sentence. We start from the very beginning and we end at 40, excluding the index 40. So what we really have is from 0 to 39. And then how many characters do we have? We have 40 characters because we start from the 0, right? So this is how we can keep the first 40 characters. And then what do we do else? We want to add the 3 dots. So plus a 3 dots. And then I want to use this to replace the sentence. Okay? So if this sentence is longer than 45 characters, I'm only keeping the first 40 characters, and then I am appending the dot dot dot. Okay, so you're okay with this? Okay, let's move on. And then how about if this sentence is shorter than 45, and then we just keep it as is, right? So do we need to do anything? Do we want to manipulate the string? No. So I'm not worrying about the else, and then I want to do a return. Okay, I want to return the sentence. So this sentence could be a modified sentence if this sentence is longer than 45 characters, or this sentence could be the same sentence if we don't need any manipulation. Okay, so you're cool with this? Okay, so let's take a look on the second one. So for the second one, we have a paragraph with multiple sentences. And then for the paragraph, the first thing is I want to split that into sentences. And then if the sentence is too long, and then you will call the process long sentence function to replace the long sentence with a shorter version. Okay? Well, this is kind of the new thing. We are in one function definition, and in that function definition, we are calling another function we have just defined. And no worries, this can be done. Okay, and then the return value should be a list of the strings as shortened sentences. Okay, say I have the paragraph. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do a split. I want to split a whole paragraph into multiple sentences. And my question is, what should be used as a delimiter? The delimiter should be a dot plus a space. Okay, so how do you do a split? That is paragraph dot split and then parentheses dot space. Okay, I'm splitting a big paragraph into list of sentences equals that. Okay, so now I have the list of the sentences, and after that, what's the next part? I want to touch each sentence, and then if that sentence is long, I'm gonna replace that with a shorter version. So do I still have to do if and else in this part? The answer is no. Because why? We have already done this logic here. So let me show you what I mean. Say how we want to visit all the sentences one by one. So for sentence in list of sentences. So I'm visiting all the sentences one by one, and then I want to do a sentence equals, say I want to grab this function. So how do you like this? So for each of the sentence, I'm sending that sentence to this function. So this function will handle the logic that we are going to check the sentence. If this sentence is long, we are going to cut it short. This will be done in the function in the question 1. Okay, so how do you like this? But for this one, here is a problem. Well, if we do have a long sentence, we want to cut it short. And after we cut it short, what else do we want to do? We want to replace that. We want to replace that into the list of sentences. So this is a problem. Well, for this part, if we are doing this solution, we are able to get it shorter, but the problem is we ain't gonna be able to write it back. So we have to rewrite the logic. Say, I want to do for I in the range of the length of the list of sentences. Okay, so this is setup you want to do, and then I'm gonna delete this line of code because you have to still do the function cal, but do that in a slightly different way. Why? Because the goal is we want to return a list of strings, and all the strings should be shortened sentences. Okay, so you do want to make a function call to cut this sentence shorter if necessary, and you want to write it back to the old location. Okay, so this is the hint I want to give you, and then please go ahead and start from here. And good luck. Good luck for this exercise, and good luck for the midterms. Oh, and by the way, for the daily exercise 17 and 18, they are gonna do after the midterm too. So they will do next week. However, I do suggest you to spend some time to finish the daily exercises for the day 17 and 18 to help you prepare for the midterm. Okay, good luck.